You know, if you've got a commitment, and the relationship's still strong, always, because that's the whole point of it. It's like, you know, entering a long distance race, you know, a never ending race, or the ending's, you know, beyond sight, and you just keep on racing for it. But you give up at some point, you know, or you take too long a break. You stop at a halfway house where you're meant to get some sustenance and carry on, you know, whatever the task is. In this example, I'm talking about a race. But you stay there for weeks and months, and then, you know, and you don't move on, and then you have to keep getting a nudge to move on. And that person who's giving you that nudge is your partner. Come on, we've got to get to the end, and you know they start getting angry with you, and you're getting angry at them for getting angry at you, and so on. And I'm a relationship expert. Listen to me. Everything I say is gospel. Everything I say is right. You know. Depends where the finger is as well. You know, get good at that as well after a long time, I guess, girl. But. Yeah, it's a case of commitment and working at that commitment. Because I always said, you know, to people who know me really well, I could marry any woman in the world. I wouldn't even have to see her first. As long as she committed to me and I committed to her, it would work, because it's about commitment, you know. And, you know, when I was a lot younger, I used to think, well, maybe not. She has to look like this and look like that and, you know, look like this and so on. But then as I get older and older, you know, you realise, wow, it's not about that. We've all got this kind of generic, you know, a form that we like in a sense. But that's often because of what we're used to, and I'm going to be tough enough to say this, fight me. It's about sometimes lack of experience. Because if you live in a certain town and you never leave that town, then you're likely to marry someone in that town, let's say, or you do marry someone in that town. If someone from another race, religion, you know, culture comes into your town, you're very unlikely to find that person attractive. And I don't mean that you think they're ugly necessarily, but there's certain things that don't attract you to them. But now if you're a traveller and you go to those other cultures all of your life and you keep on mixing, seeing other people, then it's never really hard for you to also fancy all different types. And it's not totally true, don't get me wrong, but I do believe that there's some truth in that, and this is why I believe it's part of my character. I've travelled a lot and I've been to lots of places, even within England. I've travelled to all of the major cities and so on. Fancied a girl in every town, basically, and it just opens your eyes. And I'm single now. You got my number, and. Not for long. When I don't want to be single, it's still easy. I'm 55. But what I mean is, rather than me being limited, I can go anywhere. And rather than me thinking I look for like a black woman or an English woman or a London woman or whatever, wherever I lay my hat, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm open to all those different cultures and so on. Hello, Emma. So, yeah, that was a test that turned into me talking about marriage and being committed. So yeah, sounds working. We've done all the tests we need to do, to be honest, and if anyone wants to say anything, maybe keep the conversation going. Let's talk, because there's 7 people here right now, and we can talk about anything. Pick a subject while I carry on testing. La, da, 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 da. Yeah, that works. Okay, sweet. Let's do that one.
Going on in this mind. If I know I'm looking so hard, I can't find it. Something going on in his head. Look at me, I used to be a funky dread. Never mind, I'm told, wait.
And once again, I've done all of those voices and the music and the graphics, but I'm looking for other people to start doing that work. So I've done that so I could build this, and I've kind of stopped. So you'll be seeing those for a while if you tune into future shows. But it's hard work, to be honest, and I don't mind hard work, but I now want to focus on research and delivering not on only my thoughts, but also other people's stories and some world news as well, but the good stuff. I don't want to become like a news station as such, just reporting bad news and shit all the time. Do want to start talking about events as they happen, like the London Bridge shooting the other day. I got onto it. It was a bit late, maybe about an hour and a half afterwards, only because I wasn't thinking of reporting it. But in future, as soon as something happens, boom, off the mark, listen out closely, try and get some feeds from my friends all over the world and their opinions, and then within maybe half an hour, deliver some thoughts on whatever, you know, that event was. And if some of you people and my friends are regular viewers and you want to take part, then keep that in mind, in that if you see or hear something, or you're around an event that you film with your phone, send me a clip with a little story, and you know, I may put it up. There's no promises. I'm not just going to put anything up, especially if people hold their cameras up this way, or that way even more so. But like this, I'm never going to ever broadcast it. I don't care how important the story is. You know, if you grab it like this, then it goes on, and that, you know, that could be about anything. You may just be filming a lady down at your local florist who's been there for a long time. She's got an interesting story. You know, it could be like 2 minutes long, 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long, and I can break that up and make a story of it. A car crash, especially car crashes. People like car crashes. And if you want interview, if you do anything, let me know. As I said, I'm aiming towards, you know, a little towards a working class more so. I've got a series called Ordinary People, that a section that I want to put in, but I want to talk to everybody and anybody and get people to see ordinary lives. It doesn't matter if you're long-term unemployed, let's talk about it. If you know, like a civil servant, let's talk about it. If you're a chef, if you're a builder, if you're I was going to say a DJ, still in two minds about him. If you're a DJ, yeah, as well, producer, you know, if you're a seamstress, you know, anything, just come, let's talk, let's get you an interview, and let's let other people hear about these lives, because I think we're losing away, you know, our focus on ordinary people. As a working class history is always buried, and it not only is it buried, but it's rarely recorded. And I want to record some of these ordinary lives and, you know, like leave it on the internet, and so it stays in the archives and so on. And it doesn't seem to make sense now, but in the future, people go, look, where can we find ordinary folk talking about ordinary things? And they look through the archives and say, in 2019, there was that OBG show. It had some ordinary people on there. And you know what I mean. Politeness versus flirtatious behaviour. There is a huge difference, however, lots of people don't understand that. Okay, and lots of people looking for the right chemistry in a romantic relationship. Okay, look, this girl said, politeness versus flirtatious behaviour. Now, on that one, let's hear your opinions, you know, type your stuff in there. My opinion on that is that blokes typically, because I think we're the aggressors typically in these situations, we know the difference, but we just don't want to. We just don't want to do it, you know. And women are often, you know, much more polite about it. But in defence of men, also, like in Brazil, women approach men. You know, they'll just come and pull you at a bar or something, and so it's dead normal. You know, even to go all the way with them, you know, to have intercourse. But women, mostly, let's talk about England here as well for the moment. In England, they talk about, blokes always approach you, blokes this and that and so on, but they don't approach men. Women do not approach men. And I'm not talking about the exceptions, it happens, but it's just not English culture. So women are always complaining about men approaching them and the way they approach them. I get that, we could do better, but at the same time, women may dress themselves up and put nice clothes on and put loads of makeup on, or a little bit, or none, sometimes, you know what I mean. Go out to a bar, but they won't go and pull a bloke. We have to go and pull them. And, you know, you understand what I mean by the term. It doesn't sound rude to you, more sensitive people. But we still have to approach them. And if they don't want to see bad manners, or they want to nip it in the bud, how about them sometimes approaching men with what they've got to say? But I think on a deeper level, if a woman gets rejected, I think it really hurts them a lot, much more than it hurts bloke, because there's an expectation there. But going back to the original thing, politeness versus flirtatious. From a male's perspective, Yeah, you know, we flirt. Many men are shy. Lots of us are, even though we don't admit it. You know, you can sit on a train with this gorgeous woman who's looking at you, and you kind of try and, you know, give smug looks and, you know, looks, but you don't say hello to her, you know, because there's that little schoolboy fear there. But sometimes, you know, you sit there, you flirt, and you give the look, and you give the best side shot and so on. Give a little nod to them maybe, and that's it, and that's cool. That's flirting. But some people are just rude. You know, you make the first bit of eye contact, you want a bit of play maybe, and the geezer's like, fancy fuck. Like his second line, and that's not good. Okay, yeah. But when you say too polite, do you mean like turning people down who are making advances at you, girl? Because that's another thing that women put up with, and I always tell them not to. Like that, I'm really surprised. Even some of my strong female friends, they'll say, "Oh, I was at a club last night, and this bloody dick, he just wouldn't leave us alone. He's following us around all night." I'm saying, how can this actually happen? Why didn't you just tell him to, you know, sod off immediately? And women don't, because they don't want to hurt the bloke's feelings half the time, it seems like, or, you know. And so obviously sometimes they're afraid that the guy may get aggressive, and then they're in a like lose situation. But when you say you're polite, the other generation, yeah, rejection isn't a nice feeling as well, girl, and it is a fact of life. But we need to experience rejection. I talked a couple of weeks ago on a show about putting yourself in awkward positions, you know, so you get used to them, and you really do get used to them, but you do have to do it a lot of times, and not everybody's got the same opportunity. But because I'm always out, I'm always putting myself in awkward positions. Part of it's because I want to learn not to be shy in those situations, and sometimes, you know, I just want to experience it. You know, like one of my weaknesses is that I don't always feel really mad, strong, confident when I'm around really posh people, really wealthy people. I kind of feel, you know, like I'm lesser than them. And sometimes it's hard for me to, you know, not even hard, but I may not go into a certain venue or into that group. But I still do it when the opportunity comes, so I can, you know, learn to deal with that awkward situation. And rejection, it's hard to be rejected to get that experience, you see. So a lot of people won't have experienced it, and therefore won't learn how to deal with it. Now, for the rejection one, it's difficult, because if you go up to someone and you're really nice and polite, which I am, and I'd say never, but, you know, it's so rare that I get rejected. And I'm not smarmy or super smooth, but I think I have genuine interest. I talk to women. I see a woman sitting on a bench, I see a woman walking down the street, and I talk to them, and they always respond. But I have been rejected, where I've maybe gone up to someone to say something, and they're just not interested, or they think I'm there for the wrong reason, you know, and they just like, no. And I'm like, okay, never mind. And that's it, and it's gone. But I have at times think like, fucking hell, what's wrong with her? Do you know what I mean? Or like, you didn't even know what I was going to say, you know, kind of attitude, and you feel rejected and don't know how to deal with it. But I'm very good at dealing with rejection, because I believe everyone's free to do what they want. No one has to do what you want, and never have any expectations. So it still hurts, you know, like imagine knocking on your next door neighbour's house and going, "Can I borrow your hammer?" And he says no. you know he's got one. How would you even deal with that? Would you just go, "Oh, never mind, it's his choice"? So you think, right, that's it. I'm never ever. Then you go into that mode of never ever mode. It's like, I'm never ever going to lend him anything again. The younger generation don't have a problem approaching opposite sex, unlike our generation. Yeah, the younger generation are getting better at it, I must admit, Gal, definitely, for sure. But our generation, we were brought up not to talk to strangers. I don't know if it's that or whatever, but it's very English, actually, Gal. It's very English, that's all. Especially in the big cities, people just don't talk to each other. I don't know if it's English, come to think of it, because there's more smaller towns than there are one big London. And when I go to the smaller towns, people do talk to you. They say good morning if you go into the post office, or if you walk past them in the street, to be honest. So yeah, it's not necessarily an English thing. The English do say hello. The English are polite like that. I think it's just the big cities. But meeting a stranger and talking socially is taken the wrong way, girl, and I think you're talking about from a female perspective there, because if a guy comes and sits beside me on a bus, says, "All right then, mate," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, fine," and we start talking, you know, I don't think he's trying to chat me up, even though it has happened before, you know, like it's been a gay guy and he's like trying to chat me up, and I realised after a while, but even then I'm not offended, I just let him know that I'm not interested, and you know, I continue talking to him anyway, you know. Some of them are bloody persistent. So I do get the occasional, maybe understand how you feel, you know. You're like, "Mate, listen, I'm not interested." "Oh, go on, you never tried it," you know, and all that stuff. And you just want to tell him off, but there's that part you're thinking, if I tell him off, I'm being homophobic, you know, and you're still having to be polite. And I guess women are in the same situation. You're having to be polite for whatever reason it is, even if someone's being persistent. So yeah, it is tougher for women. If you just walk up to a man and say good morning, and I'm a man, I know what it's like. If a woman just comes up and says good morning, you're like, yeah, yeah, you know, like, hey, I'm checking if you've got any condoms. And you know, I'm not like that typically, I must admit, but yeah, even still, I get the odd time, I'm like, "Oh, I'm in there," like, or she likes me or something, and it's not just a hello. But because I kind of trained myself for it, and I'm very, very well trained at it, I do often treat it as a real hello, and sometimes I'm slow on the uptake. You know, I've been talking to a woman for 5 hours, and she's gone. I'm like, did she like me? You know, but yeah, it's difficult in that sense. And not only that, because once again, as I said, especially in the UK, women don't chat men up. Women don't approach men. Women aren't forward. So when they are forward, they either get a bad name attributed to them, you know, she's a loose woman, or blokes just think that you know, you're up for something if you say hello to them. And Paul says it's, I spoke about that, you know, socialising is an issue in the UK. No, I haven't actually. Socialising, it is an issue, and it has been for quite a while now. Especially with the internet, people don't know how to socialise. They socialise online a lot of the time. It's a new form of socialisation, I guess. Maybe we're getting old and we don't truly understand it, because younger people, I said, are not even having sex as often as like maybe we did. They're using porn at a phenomenal rate. You know, they just sit down and get Pornhub on. I understand that's a porn site. That's what I've heard anyway. And I will have to check it out one day. You know, and they're, you know, wanking basically, and going on to Minecraft and like playing online games and stuff. Hello, Kai. So yeah, so socialising and the problem approaching people, we've talked about that. But you guys are going to have to type in more, because obviously, you know, you're raising the topics and then I'm going on about them, but typically I'm talking about my perspective, which is what I guess I'm here for. I'm chairman. As Oliver Bell said, if he's still there, lots of people looking for the right chemistry in a romantic relationship. I don't know what you mean there exactly, as if that's a positive or negative, that some people are just looking for the exact right match. And I think that happens naturally, and typically it takes us by surprise, because many of us here, I think you'll if you think of your girlfriend, maybe your last girlfriend or your current girlfriend, and think of the girl that you always wanted, or if you're with your current boy and you always, you know, think of the boy that you always wanted. And like, it's nothing like them, I think, for many people, which means that the chemistry happened, or you just gave up. Oh, this will do. Yeah, people do struggle face to face, girl, because I've got quite a few young friends myself, and it's quite funny. You talk to them on Facebook, and because they've got these, you know, trigger fingers, they type fast and they write loads of stuff to you. And then if you say one day, "Look, do you fancy a voice call?" "Oh, you know, I'm doing my hair. I know I've got to go out drinking with my mates. And they make excuses and they don't want to talk. They find it very hard. And for those who I've questioned afterwards, not immediately, but another time in the future, "How comes you don't do voice calls?" "Oh, you know, I've got," and then they what I call internet, communicable internet disease illnesses. oh no, I don't like talking, I've got anxiety problems, or I'm OCD, or, you know, and they just make up excuses, and they've all got these illnesses. In fact, I think I stated them well on a show the other day, like show 10 or something, talking about people being ill all the time, all these new illnesses. And they're at a rave on a Saturday, they're dropping ketamine, you know, throwing ketamine in, sniffing ketamine rather, you know, throwing in the MD and doing whatever stuff they're doing, and they're living normal lives, are going to work, but as soon as you try and engage them in a conversation, they're ill. Oh, no, I can't. And I just think they come down most of the time. Anyway, I go into detail on that on the show. Hello, Timmy. Right, okay, let's move on. Anyone want to choose a topic? Because if not, if the girl, go for it. Or do you want to say more on social media? Because, yeah, social media, people are struggling. Not struggling, people are holding back. Also, part of that as well, I think, what I notice in many people is, with social media, people often pretend to know more than they actually know. You know, you talk to someone in a conversation, you can hear them Googling in the background, and oh yeah, and then they pretend they knew some stuff. And people sometimes are afraid, because they can appear to be something different as their avatar, they can keep on typing in clever stuff and putting up funny memes and so on, and they get likes. They're not actually like that. So they don't want to talk because they're afraid of how they're going to come across. And I've pulled that out of some people, and that seems to be one of the most common things. It's, oh, I'm not like anything like you think I am on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're like. I've seen you hiding behind your posts. Yeah, I hear you. I've said that about long-term relationships, because I've always argued, and I still will always, that love's an emotion like anything else, and why should we hold on to it? It's like, you know, like if you're angry with someone, someone's done something quite bad to you, you know, and you hate them, you want to kill them at that moment, and a week later you're I'm just not going to talk to them again, and then, you know, 6 months later you're talking and it dissipates. And fear, you know, you're afraid, and then suddenly fear goes away, everything dissipates. But with love, we're all like, oh no, yeah, love's happened now, it's got to be here forever. And it's like, no, it goes. Why would it stay? There's nothing in the world that says that love has to stay. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think that's about commitment. You commit, and the commitment has to stay strong. But love goes, and if it comes back again, I think it's likely to come back easier with the person that you fell in love with, you know, in the first place. So if you stay committed to them and you keep working, then you get the impression that love never goes away, or some people say it never does. And I do believe them, but they're very, 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 haven't finished. Very, 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 very rare. But most people, yeah, you know, you're in a relationship and the love wanes. I mean, I've been in a relationship, and I'm not putting women down, so calm down, use like millennial people, or if anyone's listening. And I was in love with this woman. I would have crawled a mile across broken glass just to smell her fart at one point. Gross, but true. And then one day I look over at her, sat on the sofa, like that. Belly's grown, and I'm not into really the shape of women. Like, if I like someone, they can be like, I don't care, size 20, bigger even, I don't care, you know. Chomping on a bag of crisps, drinking them out of the packet afterwards, belching, and I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And I'm like, I need a new one, I want a new one. And I just don't feel it anymore. Not just because of that action, but other things that happen and the way we communicate and so on. And then, like, 2 weeks later, she walks in the room, or doing the very same thing, in fact, and you're like, I just love the way she fucking chomps on those crisps. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no other woman in the world, and, you know, suddenly you're back. Exactly, the grass isn't greener, Paul. Hello, Mark. You know, the grass isn't greener because, as I said, you know, you could look 1 minute, and that's because of who you are. That's the mood you're in. That's the mode you're in. You know, maybe something you ate that morning or whatever. And those things that maybe you found attractive before may not look attractive at that moment. But it's not that person overall. So yeah, it's often good to stay with the person you're with if things aren't working out. Try and work things out up to a point, and that. But I find if you're fighting all the time, or you see there's that dishonesty in a person and so on, you know, like move on. Don't wait for the other person to leave though. You know, just go. People say like, oh, that's really cruel though, the person will be hurt. And it's like, there's going to be hurt somewhere along this line, whether I end it now or whether I end it in 6 months' time. And I'm at end now, guy. I'm a chucker. I don't know if you've seen some of my Facebook posts. They're genuine, trust me. Not close to genuine anyway. It's just like, chucks, okay. Absolutely, Gal. The grass isn't always greener. You know, it's rarely greener, to be honest. It always looks greener from the other side because when you're standing on grass and you're standing above it, don't forget you can see the earth and you can see all the spaces in between the grass, all right? So it doesn't look green. And when you look across at grass, you can't see the ground, all you can see is green. And that's the illusion, that's what we always fall for. So you look over at someone else in the distance, and they always look nicer than the person who's standing beside you, you know, whether it's physically or mentally and other things. And when they come closer, and then, as Gal said, they look exactly the same as the other person, but you know the other person, and you're closer to having a healthy relationship than starting anew with someone else, because that's about lust often, you know, the honeymoon period. Like that one, Gal? Unless you're laughing at your own joke there. Yeah. Paul, got anything to say, mate, if you're still there, Paul Berry? Yeah, Paul's a thinker. As I said before, you know, he's popped over a couple of times to my place in Spain. He lives in Spain on his boat. He's lived on his boat for many, many years now. And if you're still there, I don't know if you want to say how long you've lived on your boat. It's been a long time. And I knew him since we were boys, since I was like 11 years old. And my mum, he was my mum's favourite. Actually, she really, really liked him. You know, he was a Dagenham lad, very open, one of the non-racist guys, always in our house, and just really clever. He wanted that, you know, I didn't think many people were smarter than me when I was growing up, you know, my age, and some people, you know, even older than me, and adults. I was wrong, don't get, you know, in the main, but this is the way I felt at times, because I had a really high knowledge of, you know, study for my age. I was always reading and into books and understanding how the world worked. I thought, because I read lots of physics books and maths books and stuff like that, and I understood it. So, but amongst my peers, you know, like, I was quite smart, and he was one of the people that I thought was smarter than me, and this is what I mention it often. So he's one of the person I always thought was smarter than me, and he didn't have. No, I don't think he knew the impact that he had on me at the time. I've told him since, but you know, he'd just say things matter of factly. And if someone's older than you, and this is the way I think, if someone's older than me, even by 1 minute, if there's someone who's always learning, then I always consider them wiser than me and smarter than me. And Paul's like a year older than me, and someone who's always studying and learning. And to know someone who's older than you only by 1 year, when you're 14, 15 years old, and hold them as high in you and smart, I think it's quite an achievement for both of us. One, him always answering my questions, and me for acknowledging it even at the time. Yeah, it takes hard work to finish any project, as Paul says, and I think we're talking about relationships there still. So yeah, it is a project always, because I think some people get it wrong. Not that it's wrong, or think maybe it's not conducive to the relationship. I think, oh great, you know, I've been trying to get into a relationship with this person for a long time. Boom, they get into the relationship and they've achieved their goal. But what they didn't consider was, right, I want to get into working a relationship with this person. And that's what it's about. It's about two people working together, and often towards a common goal, because some people don't have a goal. They get together, and once they're together, they actually, we're together now, and then they do things like, should we get a house together then? Yeah, okay. Should we have a kid? Yeah, and you know, stuff like that. And they just do things ad hoc, and that works for some people. I'm sure it does, but in the main, I don't think, no. It's like, I need an adventure girlfriend. I'm 55, still young at heart. You know, I still get girlfriends. Sometimes embarrassingly. No, not even embarrassing now, because sometimes I see women like 35 is young. I'm like, oh, she's a good kid, like. She's 35, man. I like adventure. I'm dead active all the time, but what I mean is like, you have goals. It's like you meet someone, it's like, yeah, let's build a camper van and go travelling around, you know, like somewhere for 2 years. And when we come back, we'll set up a market store and so, and then we'll, you know, we'll try and build a life. And that could take a lifetime to do. And if not, then you can have a 2-year, 3-year relationship with somebody and have a really wonderful time and never really get on each other's nerves because you're always working at something because you have a goal, and that makes for great relationships. And talking about love dissipating, I also say that relationships don't have to last forever. They're great because we get old and you've got this partner, and that's what some people are afraid of. But at the same time, you can have a relationship for 1 year and it could be fantastic with someone, but it's not meant to be longer than that. You're both young, you're 23 years old, you don't even know yourselves, let alone know the other person. You certainly don't want to settle down and so on. Have a well-being romance, but do stuff together. Don't just stay in bed and then start wondering who's going to end the relationship now and blah blah blah. Just keep doing stuff, and in the end you build a friendship and make that your goal, to have a friendship, and then you often end up staying friends with those people even though the relationship dies off. Are you going to pass through here, Paul, when you come on the way back, or is it off not on your route? Okay, got too many phones. Oh, that's Phil. Okay, I've got this earlier. That's Amen. Yeah, messages by voice. Let's get those later. Right, okay, listen, guys. The general vibe is that people will not work putting things right with them and let them never say goodbye. Absolutely, girl. People got really lazy like that. Yes, Paul says and agrees with common goals are really essential. I just went over that. And this gal says the general vibe is that people will not work at putting things right within a relationship. They would rather say goodbye, no compromise. And then people want that. They want that quick fix, that quick hit, And then as soon as you see something negative about somebody, or you have a little argument, or even like a not physical fight, but like that big one argument, something gets smashed or whatever, then they want out. And I've done that before because, as I said, explaining earlier about us not being people not meant to be together, I'm like, right, this has gone as far as it can go. With all the good times are over, I'm not working towards repairing them because this isn't, you're not my wife. Do you know what I mean? You're not the one. You're not the one. And, some people may say that's shallow, but I'm hedonistic. I like a single life. I said I was going to be single since I was very, very young, like 9 years old, 11 years old, 15. I always keep repeating that mantra. But at the same time, as I've got older now, I'm like, I think I've got a few years left of being wild man, and I always thought it would be difficult maybe to find a woman as you get older. But at 55, everything's relative. It's like, if you knew girl, girl's a little bit older than me, I think, or but the same age girl, and you're like, women are gorgeous at 55, mate, you know what I mean? And I see other women at that age, and I'm like, okay, it never stops. It's not like, I fancy young women, but they won't go out with me because I'm old. It's like, I fancy older women, and there's some still available, thank God. In fact, yesterday, my friend called me. She's my best friend in Spain at the moment. I met her. She works on a street stall. She's 58 years old. And we went for, just met for a coffee yesterday. I went into Valencia Centre, and she's amazing, an amazing woman. And the funniest thing about it is, she's like a double of my ex. Even her mannerisms and so. So I don't know if I was attracted to that or whatever. But having said that, everyone who knows her loves her. She's an amazing woman. They call her Mama in the centre because everybody goes to her and talks to her. But she phones me for the coffees. I think she loves me. Where is she? Marg, I'm going to see if you can see that. Let's get this up. Yeah. My 58-year-old hottie, yeah? So, such an amazing woman, so full of energy, and her husband, she doesn't say anything bad about him, but it's obvious that, there's nothing happening there, and he just sits indoors and so on, and she is so active. She went on a cruise a couple of weeks ago, actually, with, some of her friends, and they was all in pair, but no, it was just her and another woman who were without their partners. So, her husband's probably not providing any love to her. She said that, actually. Hello, Stuart. Yeah, 50 years young, gal is, by the way. Yeah, well, you can see that, I guess. So let's do just one more topic, and then I'm going to shoot off. That's if anyone wants to do another one, because we've got 9 people here. I'm sure they're hanging around. They're interested, obviously. If anyone wants to get on to one more topic, maybe let's talk about that. Anything. If not, then, you know, I'll start making tracks. Let's talk about something new. Thanks for the encouragement, gal. I'll let you know. Send you some pics. Right. Yeah, okay. I'm going to nip it in the bud then, because I've got stuff to do. As I said, I was just testing the widgets and testing software and so on. And let's have a look. And that's the truth. Baby, I want you to know. I've got a filler for everything. So, thanks for your time, everyone. For helping me with the test earlier on, and for posing these, raising these topics. I've had some fun. And on that note, I'm the OBG. You know what? I haven't got a play out filler. That's just reminded me. I have to install one of those. Let's do that again. Let me see which one we can do. I know we can go out on that one. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, thanks for your time. And on that note, I'm the OBG. Cause you've been so... No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let me say, I say, be careful what you wish for. Cause you've been so... Sitting down, don't want to play. Yeah, that'll work. I think I'll do that. I've got the music outro actually. But thanks for your time, especially Gal, Paul, for you contributing there and raising the topics. Let's do more of that. I've got a show on Sunday, a big show. I've got a big show on Sunday. I may do a live, what is it today, Tuesday? I may do a live one on Thursday, actually. Very likely we'll do, in the evening, you know, usual 8 o'clock. But thanks so much for your input, everyone. And see you soon. I'm the OBG. No, be careful what you wish for. Cause you've been so... Sitting down, don't want to play.